everyone, glad to have you back here at Book Demystified. Today's book is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And if you've ever felt like you're stuck watching other people live the life you secretly dream about while you're sitting there scrolling through Instagram at 2 a.m. wondering why you can't seem to get your act together, this one's going to speak directly to you. Picture this. You're at your high school reunion, and there's that person who used to sit behind you in chemistry class, posting pictures from their third trip to Bali this year while running their own successful business. Meanwhile, you're still explaining to relatives why you're figuring things out at 28. Sound familiar? Jen Sincero was basically the queen of this exact scenario before she transformed her entire life, and she wrote this book to show the rest of us how to stop being our own worst enemy. Here's what really got me about Sincero's approach. She doesn't sugarcoat the fact that most of us are walking around with what she calls limiting beliefs that are basically running our lives like some invisible puppet master. Think about it. How many times have you talked yourself out of something before you even tried it? Maybe it was asking for that promotion, starting that side business, or even just speaking up in a meeting. We've all got that little voice that says, "Who do you think you are?" And Sincero's whole point is that voice isn't protecting you, it's keeping you small. The first major insight from the book is something she calls loving yourself, but not in the way your yoga instructor talks about self-care Sundays. She means actually treating yourself like someone you give a damn about. Most of us would never talk to our best friend the way we talk to ourselves in our own heads. You know that brutal internal monologue that starts the moment you look in the mirror or mess up at work? Yeah, that one. She argues that until you stop beating yourself up for sport, you'll never have the confidence to go after what you actually want. I remember reading this part and thinking about how Americans especially seem trained to apologize for taking up space. We say sorry for having opinions, for asking questions, for existing loudly. But here's what Sincero points out. The people living their best lives aren't the ones constantly second-guessing themselves. They're the ones who decided they deserved good things and then acted like it. The second game changer in the book is what she calls getting clear on what you want. This sounds obvious until you realize most of us are so busy trying to want the right things that we never figure out what we actually want. Maybe your parents wanted you to be a doctor. Society says you should want a house in the suburbs. And your Instagram feed suggests you should be a digital nomad with perfect abs. But what do you want when you strip away all that noise? Sincero talks about how she spent years in jobs that paid the bills but slowly killed her soul because she thought wanting more was selfish or unrealistic. Sound like anyone you know? Maybe half the people you went to college with. The problem isn't that we don't have dreams. It's that we've been trained to think our dreams are silly or impossible, so we settle for whatever feels practical. Hey, if you're enjoying our free book summaries and want to support what we do, there are a few easy ways to help. You can subscribe to the channel, become a member, or grab the book using our affiliate link in the description. And if you'd like to go a step further, you can also leave a tip via thanks button available on the video. Every bit of support helps us keep creating valuable content for you.
Now here's where things get interesting. Sincero's third major point is about taking action even when you're scared. She's not talking about reckless moves that'll land you on someone's couch eating ramen for 6 months. She means taking calculated risks that feel terrifying but aren't actually dangerous. Like finally launching that Etsy shop you've been planning for 2 years. Or signing up for that public speaking class that makes your palms sweat just thinking about it. The truth is, most of us are way more afraid of success than we are of failure. Failure feels familiar. We know how to beat ourselves up. We know how to make excuses. We know how to play small. But success? That's scary because it means we might actually have to own our power and stop hiding behind, "I'm just not that kind of person." Sincero shares this story about how she was terrified to raise her speaking fees because she didn't want to seem greedy or arrogant. But then she realized she was basically telling the universe she didn't think her work was valuable. So she doubled her rates, and guess what? People started taking her more seriously. Not because she became a different person overnight, but because she started acting like someone who believed in herself. The fourth insight that really stuck with me is about surrounding yourself with the right people. You know how they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? Well, if those 5 people are constantly complaining about money, talking about how lucky, successful people are, or making jokes about your goals, you're in trouble. It's not that these people are bad. They might be your family or your oldest friends, but their energy around success and possibility is going to rub off on you, whether you realize it or not. This doesn't mean you have to dump everyone and start fresh, but it does mean being intentional about who you're getting advice from and who you're spending your free time with. If you want to start a business, maybe spend less time with the friend who thinks entrepreneurship is just a fancy word for unemployment, and more time around people who get excited about new ideas. The final piece of Sincero's puzzle is about trusting what she calls the universe, though you can call it intuition, gut instinct, or whatever feels right to you. The point is learning to trust that inner voice that knows what's right for you, even when it doesn't make logical sense to everyone else. Maybe that voice is telling you to quit your stable job to become a freelance graphic designer, or move across the country, or finally write that book that's been bouncing around in your head. Here's what I love about Sincero's approach. She's not promising that life will be easy or that positive thinking alone will pay your rent. She's saying that most of us are already living with discomfort, the discomfort of wondering what if and feeling stuck and unfulfilled. So why not trade that discomfort for the temporary discomfort of actually going after what you want? The bottom line is this: you already have everything you need to create a life you're excited about. The skills, the intelligence, the creativity, it's all there. What's missing isn't more qualifications or perfect timing or someone else's permission. What's missing is the decision to stop playing small and start treating yourself like the capable, deserving person you actually are. Because here's the truth that Sincero keeps hammering home. The world doesn't need another person playing it safe and keeping their gifts to themselves. The world needs you to be a badass.